Hi again, Michelle James here. In our last Pattern Breaks facilitator video, Sam Horn took us through a wonderful creative framework for writers, communicators, and facilitators, which you can use for yourself or with any group. It was so rich and juicy, part one, that I asked her to take us through part two, which she does in this bonus video. Hope you enjoy it.
Many of the people in your community have been speaking for years, have been teaching for years. They already have courses, they already have methodologies. So let's do that for this. Is maybe you have your 7 steps, your Stephen Covey 7 steps. Maybe you have your Don Miguel Ruiz 4 agreements or something like that. So write down now the idea, write down the insight or the step or the recommendation, the prescriptive how-to. So in one box, write it down. And now don't explain it. If we start a chapter by explaining an idea, it's infobesity and people will go away. Promise yourself right now you will start every chapter with a story. Because when we finish a chapter and we look at the next page, if it jumps into, I was 30,000 feet up in an airplane, it's like, my wife said, we're having a baby, in the middle of a presentation, someone put their hand up and said, well, I've tried what you said and it didn't work. So put us in the scene with detail and dialogue with each step. Now, with these examples, and if you've been doing this for a while, you say, well, here's an example of someone who exemplifies that idea or put that step into process or who took action on that aha. So who is an example of it? Now, make sure when you step back and executive produce your book, you look and you say, uh-oh, let's go with Sherry. If she was executive producing a program, say she's talking about parenting, when you're juggling careers. And she would look back, uh-oh, we have 3 experts who are all women. We need a man in there. Uh-oh, we have all white Caucasians. We need some diversity in there. Uh-oh, we have 3 PhDs who don't have children. So do you see how when you step back, you want diversity? Do you have men and women? Do you have people from different parts of the country? If you want your book to sell overseas, then in your first 2 examples, you might want to have someone from another country because you see how you're deliberately, intentionally planting the seed that this book is appropriate for people who live around the world. So also, do you have variety in terms of age? Do you have variety in terms of profession? Because if you want people to know that this can be used in finance or healthcare or tech, by the way, which are the 3 industries that pay their speakers the best, then you might want to intentionally seed your book by having an example of someone from healthcare, someone from tech, and someone from, what did I say? Healthcare and finance. Because by doing that, and then by getting endorsers from those industries, everything we do is strategic. So let me see if there's one more thing about, let's talk about your last box. Your last box is your send-off. Your last box is where you have this rousing rally cry for action that is inspirational and motivational. So I'm going to ask you right now, what's your favorite quote about that? If you know me, you know I believe in quotes because I think in a soundbite, they get people's eyebrows up. They re-engage people in our book. However, people can't have heard them before. Because if we use a quote that's an eye roller, oh my gosh, how many times have I heard that? We lose people, we don't win them over. So for example, in your last chapter, start looking for a quote that resonates with you, that will end this on this inspirational note where people will want to recommend it to others, where they will want to read it again. Maybe it's Longfellow's "Let Us Then Be Up and Doing." Maybe it is Chuck Yeager who said, at the moment of truth, there are either reasons or results. So, in the last chapter of your book, how are you going to bring people full circle? This is called bookending. What did you say in your intro and your first chapter? How can you circle back to it in your final chapter and in your send off? Because if you do that, people will feel the satisfying full circle. And maybe you write that please don't just read this book and put it on your shelf, or don't just read it on your Kindle and say that was a good book. Keep it handy so that when you're dealing with this issue, or when you're at an impasse, or when you're not sure what to do, just open it up to a page, any page, and chances are it'll be the right words at the right time to help you take right action. So right now, write down some things that you're going to say in that final chapter so that people do not put the book down and say that was a great book. No, what are they going to continue to do to think of you as a resource, to return to you, to recommend you, and once again, put it in a story? Little could I have predicted when I had that epiphany that I would have the privilege of speaking about this around the world. Little could I have known when that tragedy happened that one day I would look back and be grateful for it, bring people full circle, have an inspiring, heartfelt, unusual, uncommon quote, and send people off where you stay top of mind because you planted those inspirational seeds.